Hello, everyone. Welcome to our today's discussion. My name is George Wangai. I am a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner, and I am a born again.
My name is Pastor Salome Wangai. I am born again. By profession, I am a family, geriatric, and psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. This week at Evangel Vineyard Church, we are calling it our Mental Health Week. So we are so excited to share with you some topics which we believe will help us, enlighten us, and be able to take care of our mental health. It is important for us to be able to distinguish between the mind, the body, and the soul. In the book of 3 John, chapter 1, verses 2, in the Amplified Version, it says, "Beloved, I pray that in every way you may succeed in all things and be in good health, just as your soul prospers." So, there is health of the mind, health of the body, and health of the soul. When we talk about mental health, we are talking about the health of the mind. So, our topic today, we will discuss several issues that affect our mental health. So, our first topic of the day is regarding our family relationships. How our personalities affect our family relationships. So each one of us has a personality. You might have heard some people call this personality trait. So in mental health, we identify and classify these as personality traits in things we call clusters. These clusters consist of personality traits that share common characteristics. So, George, what is personality?
So, when we talk about personality, we are talking about your own way of thinking, how you feel, and how you behave, and how you relate to other people. So now, as you're born and you develop through the developmental stage, you will start building a personality. And once you become an adult, your personality is usually will not change that much. So the personality in mental health, we don't call them traits, we call them personality disorders. And there's a reason for that. But in general, what they do is they involve a long-lasting pattern of thoughts and behaviors that are different from what is considered norm in your culture. Meaning what you're thinking and the way you behave traditionally is not what the society expects you to behave. And these thoughts and behaviors can become unhealthy. They are really unhealthy and they're inflexible. And they do cause serious problems with relationships, including relationships in your families, with your wife, your spouse, your children, work, and anything you think about social activities. And this can make it really hard to deal with everyday stress and problems. So in mental health, we classify this personality into kind of three clusters. We call them clusters. And the clusters are based on the common characteristics of these personalities. The first one is a cluster A. And the cluster A personality disorder does have, what it does is involve unusual and odd thoughts and behaviors. So that's like the biggest characteristics of this cluster A personality. You have unusual and odd thoughts and behaviors. So there is one called paranoid personality disorder, which is we're gonna discuss further later on. And it's among people. You probably had somebody say I'm paranoid, what those kind of things. And the other two are lesser common in our society. The one is called schizoid personality disorder. The other one is called schizotypal personality disorder. But we're not going to discuss about those lesser ones in the community. Then we have a cluster B personality disorder. Now, cluster B personality disorder is these people that have this personality. We call them dramatic. They involve dramatic and emotional thoughts and behaviors that can keep changing all the time. You don't know what they want now. They come, they are crying. The next thing you know, they are laughing and all that kind of thing. And some of them are bad. But out of their group, we have one that's called antisocial personality disorders. People in jail, most of the people who are criminals, they do have the antisocial personality disorders because they do not follow the law. The other one is the borderline personality disorder. That's the main one, and I think we're gonna touch this because there's a lot of people with that personality disorder. Then we have another one called histrionic personality disorders. An example of that would be, give an example of somebody like a prostitute who is promiscuous. They have that histrionic personality disorder. Then you have the one called narcissistic personality disorder. I know majority of us, they have the narcissistic personality disorder from few people here and there. And we're probably going to talk about that as well. And then the last one will be the cluster C personality disorder, which is the people with that, they're anxious. They're always anxious, they are fearful. So their thoughts and pattern and behaviors is going to be anxious and fearful. And we have people that we call them the personality disorder. It's called avoidant personality disorders. And avoidant comes from avoidance. They're avoiding things. Then you have the other one is called dependent personality disorder. People who depend on others, that they cannot move on until decisions are made for them. And then you have the last one is called obsessive compulsive personality disorder, which is different from the word OCD, which you probably have heard before. Is OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. The obsessive compulsive personality disorders shares the little characteristics with that, but these are people, we call them perfectionists. If it's a wife that makes the bed gotta stay that way, and it cannot be changed. Or if my home need to be this neat, and they cause a lot of problems in life because of those relationships. So let's talk a little bit about what causes these personality disorders. What causes them? Because we all have personalities, then all of a sudden we have different personality disorders. And this usually begin in your developmental age. Usually when you're in your teenage years, or in your early adult life, that's when they start coming on. We start knowing that you have these personality disorders. But the cause is really not known, it's unknown. However, research has shown that genes and your childhood experiences, such as abuse or trauma, could likely play a role in there. So what are some of the symptoms of these personality disorders? How do we identify them? How do we know what they are? And talking in general terms, each personality disorder, the symptoms are different. And that's why they are classified into different clusters A, B, and C. But with each one of the disorders, those personality disorders, they involve problems and uncertainty to how people see themselves. And this, we talked about, they cause a lot of problems in relationships with other people, whether it's a husband, relationship with the wife, or the children, and vice versa, these personality disorders do cause a lot of relationship problems. And the issue here is the people with these personality disorders, they have trouble realizing that they have a problem. It's not saying that if you don't know you have a problem, you don't accept you have a problem. So they have that trouble realizing that they have a problem. So to them, things are normal. This day-to-day life, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not broken. I'm perfect. And what they do is they may see you, other people, like they have a problem. If you're trying to mention to them that you have a problem here, they say, no, I'm perfect, I'm normal. You are the one who has a problem. So if you tell them to go seek help, they will not do it because they don't need it. They don't think they need it. And that now becomes even more difficult to deal with. So let's now talk, and just that was just an overview of mentioning those personality disorders. But among them, we want to pick the ones that we really think that worth to mention. So I'm gonna let Pastor Salome here to go ahead and continue.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are going to look at one of the personality disorders in cluster A that affects family relationships, and see how it presents itself and ways we can work around it. So paranoid personality disorder, as we had talked in cluster A, they usually have unusual, odd thoughts and behaviors. So this person who has the paranoid personality is very paranoid. What does it mean to be paranoid? Is where you have extreme fear and distrust of others. So these people, they may think that someone is trying to harm them. Paranoia involves intense anxiety or fearful feelings and thoughts, often related to persecution, threat, or conspiracy. So paranoia can occur with many other mental conditions, but is often present in psychotic disorders. People who have schizophrenia is one of them. So paranoid thoughts can become delusions. Delusions are false beliefs. And how they become delusions is when the irrational thoughts and beliefs become so fixed that nothing can convince a person that what they think or what they feel is not true. So let's look at how people with paranoia, what are some of the things that you can, or symptoms that you can see. One of them is they have intense and irrational mistrust or suspicion, which can bring on feelings of fear, anger, and betrayal. A good example, a spouse coming home late. They did not pick up the phone call while they were away. So the wife, or vice versa, if it's the husband, they will start thinking that person is unfaithful. You know? And what's going to happen? In order for you to search or seek for the truth, because of that feeling of, you're already feeling that somebody is unfaithful, you will start, for example, tracking them on their phone, okay? So you can imagine the kind of strain that can bring in a relationship. Maybe you were late because there was too much work, or you did not pick up the phone, maybe there was no signal and the phone even did not register. And here you have a paranoid wife or a paranoid husband thinking that the partner is being unfaithful. So Some beliefs and behaviors of individuals with symptoms of paranoia is mistrust, hypervigilance. That means that you're constantly looking for threats. They have difficulty with forgiveness. They're defensive in attitude in response to imagined criticism. They are preoccupied with hidden motives. Fear of being tricked or taken advantage of. They have trouble relaxing or being argumentative. So, how do we deal if you have a loved one or a family member who has paranoid personality disorder? How are you able to live with them? Number one, you have to improve your social interaction. What do I mean by that? When you lose trust with people, you isolate. You do not want to be near anybody. You don't trust anybody. So one of the ways, if you see your loved one isolating, try and involve them and try to interrupt that isolation by, can we go somewhere? Can we go for a movie? Can we play a game? Can we, go for a walk? So improve social interaction with those kind of individuals. The other thing is you have to improve communication. Communication is key in every relationship. Open communication. These are the kind of people that you have to call things like they are. It's black or white. There is no in between, because the in between is what causes the mistrust, the what if. So, open communication, clarify things, don't leave things hanging. The other thing is we have to help with self-esteem. Such people, they have very low self-esteem because you may think, this person is behaving like this because might be if it's a husband and a wife, and the husband is now late and I'm already thinking they're unfaithful, and I'll start looking at myself like I'm not sufficient for this individual. So these are people that constantly need reassurance of how they look and how, their behavior, their contribution. They need affirmation all the time. And when you do that, you will make it easy in your relationship. And therefore, trust can be regained and restored. And you're able to live longer without problems in the relationships. Now, I'll give it on to George to discuss the second personality disorder in the cluster B that affects family relationships.
Okay, thank you. So now let's move on to cluster B, personality disorder. I know we just talked about personality in a cluster A, that's the paranoid, and we say we are now going to talk about schizoid and schizotypal, because they are there and they're important, but they're not in a population. Sometimes you might not even be able to recognize them. Remember, cluster A, for you to have it, is involved having unusual and odd thoughts and behavior. Now, cluster B, this is a major one. This is where we have people who are dramatic, full of drama all the time, and emotional turmoils. Their emotional thoughts and behaviors keep changing. Just like the name, they're borderline. You don't know if they're here, they're there. And it's just a tough one, and it's among the population here. So this makes, and the way, what I'm trying to say is it makes them impulsive and uncertain about how they see themselves. So in cluster B, we're talking about antisocial personality disorder, which we talked about. And then there's the borderline personality, histrionic. I had mentioned about, like, example, someone who's promiscuous. Then you have narcissistic. But let's mention the personality disorder, which is the borderline. Borderline personality disorder is a mental condition. I call it a mental condition because it's affecting your mind and your mental health. And it's affecting people how they feel about themselves and also about other people. And it makes it difficult to function in everyday or day-to-day life. Someone with borderline personality disorder, they are unstable. They will have patterns of instability, moods become unstable, intense relationships. What do I mean that? So they're in a relationship, but they're impulsive. And they live in a fairly unhealthy life, or how they perceive or how they see themselves. And when I say impulsivity, we talk about the extreme emotions of lows and up, acting or doing things without thinking about them first. These people with borderline personality disorders, they have a strong fear of being abandonment or being left alone. Even though they want to have a loving and long-lasting relationship, they fear that the fear of being abandoned often leads to mood swings and anger. And this is what leads into impulsiveness. And then we see a lot of them coming to the hospitals with self-injuries. You might have heard about people who cut themselves. We call them cutters. They do that to seek attention. You might have had people that they are always sick. All of a sudden they have headaches, they need attention, they need to be attended to, those sort of things. The mood swings itself, anybody have mood swings, but these particular ones, the mood swing, the anger, the impulsiveness is often there. You recognize it because it's in the morning you're talking good things, then in 2 hours you're the worst enemy they ever seen, and 1 o'clock they want attention from you. But it does get better with age. But the main issue here with these people is their self-image, how they see themselves, and how and then the fear of being abandoned. And then they have relationship issues. So the symptoms go on and on and on. But the personality disorders affect how you feel about yourself, you relate to others, and behave. When we talk about the fear, they have a strong fear of abandonment. So what that means, you're in a relationship and you think that your spouse is going to leave you, and there's no founded evidence to believe that they are leaving, but you have that fear in you, that in your thought is telling you, my spouse is going to leave me. So this fear, because I have the fear of abandonment, and if it's a case of a child, not a child, somebody else who is not married, they have that fear of, they may be afraid is going to leave them. What they do is they go extra steps, making extreme measures to make sure that they are not separated with that person. Whether it's a friend or a spouse or somebody you want to be acquainted with. And these fears are not real. They probably just made up. Nobody's leaving you. In their thought they're saying somebody's going to leave you. These patterns of being unstable, you have unstable emotions, moods, all that. And intense relationships, such as believing someone is perfect at one moment, then suddenly in the next 1 hour you believe that that person does not care at all, or is cruel, it's very difficult because now you don't know who is who. Who is my wife? This morning she's happy with me, and then in 2 hours she's mad at me. I don't know what's going on, and it's an emotional turmoil. So let's talk about these changes that they have, and they go through the periods of stress, and the impulsive and risky behaviors are there also for these people that have these borderline personality behaviors. These are the people that you hear sometimes they just go gambling, because they have that void they're trying to fill. This doing dangerous driving, reckless, having unsafe sex, spreading speed. They go binge eating on food. Some end up doing drugs, and they might quit their job. They might have a very good job, but they quit. And as I mentioned, these are the most people we see coming to the emergency room with issues. They think they have a heart attack. They think they have headaches. And basically what they're doing is just being manipulative. They're looking for attention. They're seeking that. Also, the biggest thing we see in them is suicide. They have a very high risk for suicide, of self-injury. I told you they cut themselves, and they are doing all this to manipulate, and the emotions are getting high and low, and this is all in response to the separation or the fear of being rejected. Now the mood swings. Remember, in the morning they are so happy with you, then in a couple hours they're not. So these are mood swings we're talking about, and sometimes they do last from like hours and days. I don't know how you say you want to live with someone who's not talking to you for days because they're mad at you. Then the next thing is like nothing happened. They're all over you. Then we talk about the same mood swings. Sometimes they can include this periods of just being irritable. They are just irritated with you. They can also be very anxious. They can be happy. They can be shame. They can be feeling shame. And they have that feeling, ongoing feelings of being emptiness in them. Being inappropriate, a strong anger, and they lose a lot of temper. Often they will lose temper. They can be sarcastic or bitter at you, and sometimes they get into fights for no reason, just because they remember, again, they are seeking attention. They have a void. As in the beginning, I mentioned that in our population, there's a lot of people that have borderline. It is not always easy to know who they are, because again, to them, they are normal. You telling them they have personality disorders, you're the one who is not normal to them. Even though you're able to point and see that all these little checkbox, they tick, yes, you are this, you are emotional, you have all these things. So recognize them is not that easy. They're telltales. You probably need a professional clinical person to probably diagnose you with it. But I'll let Pastor Salome see she can, you have anything to talk about borderline?
So one of the things that I know, especially how it affects our relationship, is since they are very impulsive, meaning they will not take time to think about something, they will just be very quick to act. When you are in that relationship, and here you have, for example, you're working on a budget, both of you, and you have, a budget set up, and you have put, for example, your money together, and here we are. You have a borderline person who just makes decisions quickly and will not consult. They will go and spend the money. And when it comes to time, for example, to pay your bills, you find out there is no money. So what that does for example, in a relationship, a married couple, you find this kind of individuals because of multiple times where one of them has, done such an impulsive move. You will see a couple having different accounts. Everybody wants now to keep their own money because they're afraid the individual with borderline personality is just misusing the money. They have no control and they are not able to keep up with the commitments that you have made to each other in regards to finances. So therefore, one of the individual will withhold their money for a rainy day because their partner can easily surprise them with some wrong decisions that they make. So people with borderline, how do you deal with them? So these individuals, just like you've seen, they compete for attention. And sometimes that can cause problems. They also like to involve a third party, and we call that triangulation, whereby they want to bring somebody else where there is a problem, the problem that they create. For example, the example I just gave, there is a financial strain because of impulsive behaviors, and they will try to bring a third party to side with them and defend their action. So in such a relationship, what we do is we have to encourage cooperation by not participating in competitive actions. These people, they compete, for example, with family members for finances. They compete for favors. And the way to deal with this kind of an individual is, instead of competing with them and being even with them, encourage cooperation by not participating in competitive actions. So call out the problem once you see it in your partner and see how you can help them, or they can cooperate with you from their impulsive behaviors. Be very patient with these people. Set clear boundaries with them and always plan ahead with these kind of individuals. I'll give it back to George to share about another trait, that is the narcissistic personality disorder.
Yes, thank you. And now we're still in a cluster B of the personality disorder. So we are going to talk about the narcissistic personality disorder. Its prevalence in our society. For some reason, a lot of politicians they have that trait, and people who hold higher offices. I'm not sure why, but the people who are narcissistic, they lack something that's very important in life. They lack empathy. When I say empathy, what am I trying to say? So, do they have feelings? No, they don't. Do they say sorry? No, they don't have to say sorry. If you do something wrong to them, they want to revenge, and they will. So these are people that lack empathy, and they want to be admired by others. They don't care who you are. It's them. It's them. They think they are better than anyone else, and they deserve special treatments. An example: somebody come to a church, who is narcissistic. They want to sit at the front. They want to get special treatment. They want to be recognized. Those are the sort of people you can think of being narcissistic. But it is a mental, disorder, and this, which by definition are people, they have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They feel important. They seek and they need. They feel that they do need and they seek too much attention, and they want to be admired. What they do is they lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of other people. And that's why they arrogant in a sense. That's why they don't know how to say sorry, because they don't feel anything. But besides or behind all this, we call them, they have a very low, what's the word I'm trying to get? Low opinion, yes. Low opinion about themselves. They mask, behind this is a mask of extreme confidence. They are not sure of their self-worth, so that's why it comes to the self-low esteem. And they are very quick at getting upset by any kind of slightest criticism. If you ever know someone who is narcissistic and you see them somewhere, maybe on a TV or anywhere, they don't take criticism in a light way. They feel embarrassed that they were gonna revenge. And they cause, these people, so the personality itself with these people, it causes a lot of problems in their life. Relationships with people, work, school, financial matters, anywhere they go, they will cause relationships because they don't know how to live with people. They just, lack of better word, I'll say they're nasty people. But sorry, but that's who they are. To me, that's how I look at them. But also now you think about this, they young in that attention, they want to feel important, but they are unhappy people. They are generally unhappy people, and they are disappointed when they are not given that special favor that they are looking for, or the admiration that they believe they deserve. So I don't have to put it, but think an example. Maybe I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm the husband, and I have my wife, and I am the narcissistic type. And many times when people meet, when they are dating, we say love is blind. I'm not sure why, but sometimes you don't see all these traits in people. Even people with other personality disorders, we talk about borderline and paranoid, you don't see them when you're dating. But when you get married, now this is the time you start seeing them. So just imagine you have a narcissistic husband or a wife. Not so for a wife, because a trait, this particular trait, a good percentage of it, in a higher percentage, 80, 90s, is always going to be men. But just imagine you having a spouse who is narcissistic, yearning attention, seeking attention, have no feelings. They have to get a sense of self-importance, and it's to you, you're nothing, because they are everything. So it's a tough person to deal with in a relationship. So let's talk about some of the symptoms. Symptoms is the things that we see in these people. We already talked some of them. They have unreasonable high sense of self-importance. They require constant, and they need it. Not even requiring, they need it. Excess admiration. They feel that they deserve privileges above you, above everyone else, and they're looking for that special treatment. And they go extreme measures to make sure they get that special treatment. They expect to be recognized as superior, even without achievement. And that's why I give an example about a politician somewhere in Kenya or any other part of the world. They feel they are important. They want to be recognized. They feel they are superior. They don't. Some of them are not even. They haven't even go to school. They don't have any merits or any credentials. But the thing is, they want to make achievements, and they want to. The achievements and talents seems bigger than they are. We call them grandiose. Grandiose. They feel they are worth like a mountain. They are boastful. Another one that came up not too long ago is called braggadocious. Is it braggadocious? Yeah, that's a word. It's a boastful. They are also preoccupied. Most of their time they are preoccupied with fantasies about success. They want to be successful, and most of them do get success. They are powerful people. Politicians are very powerful because we see them in that category where they possess the power. They want to show brilliance, beauty, and perfect mate. So those are the men in power that you hear often in Hollywood, that they end up marrying a trophy wife, because they are looking for that perfect beauty. Somebody they, gotta have a wife who have a wow factor. And again, they believe that they are superior than others and can only spend time with or be understood by equally special people. So they don't have time for you. If you don't recognize them and you're not important to them, they don't have time for you. They hang with the people in their own category, people who are money, they are famous. But again, we talk about they have low self-esteem. So they can be very critical, and they look down on people they feel are not important. So they brush you off. They expect special favors and expect other people to do what they want without questioning them. So you don't question their authority. If they say, go this way, go this way. If not, you're fired. That's what the famous person used to say, you're fired. They do take advantage of other people to get what they want. They have inability to, or unwillingness to recognize the need and the feeling of others. I think we mentioned that. Be envious of others and believe others envy them. But they also behave in arrogant way. They brag a lot of their achievements. And they do insist of having the best of everything. They want the best car, best boat, best jet, best office. If they haven't achieved to that level, because not everyone can afford a jet or a best car, they want to buy a best suit, best shoe. Think of it as perfectionist, somebody who is just, they want to look, to be recognized. But the thing is, with all that, these people, they are very patient. They are very patient. They can get angry when they don't receive that special recognition. They have trouble interacting with people, and if they feel that they're not being recognized, they react with rage or contempt. They can try to belittle you as much as they can, so they can appear that they are superior than you. And they do have issues or difficult regulating their emotions and behavior. That's why they get angry so quick. But they experience a big major problem dealing with the stress, because they don't have to do that, and they don't have to adapt to change, because they're not changing for you. You're the one who's gonna change for them. So what they do is they withdraw. They withdraw from other people to avoid situations where they think they are going to fail. A big percentage of them become very depressed, and they become moody because they kind of think they are falling short of being that perfect person. And they have a lot of insecurities. And these are the secret feelings that they have of being insecure in your own self, being shameful, being humiliated, and the fear of being exposed out there in public as somebody who has failed. And I mentioned that it affects more male than female in real life. It does begin in teenage years for these people who have that, and it develops way into like early adulthood. We have seen some cases where we have children who show those traits of being narcissistic. But again, it's a typical of their age. We just have to wait until they get to the teenage years to develop the personality disorder. So, Pastor Salome, do you have anything you want to add on that before I jump to the cluster C personality? If not, we can just jump onto the...
Yes.
So let's go ahead and jump to the kind of the last ones, which is the cluster A, B, and C. And this one we just briefly talk about what it is. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. We'll probably, if we get chance, some more airtime, we can discuss about this cluster C personality disorder, because I still think it's a major one. It's a lot of, especially people from African descent. We have seen quite a few, a lot of them, they have that. And this personality itself, the cluster C, involve anxious, people who are anxious, people who have fearful thoughts and behaviors. And in those clusters C, we have three classifications of that. One is called avoidant personality disorder. Avoidant is same as avoid, right? These people, they are shy, and they feel in their heart or in yourself that they are not as good as others. So what do they do if they feel they're not as good as others? The biggest thing they do is try to avoid people because they fear rejection. And it's seen a lot of, when I say African descent, it's all over the world, but you give you an example. There is a beautiful girl. It's gonna hinder her from getting a spouse, from getting married, because she's want to avoid, because she's shy. She believes she's not as good as she should be. She believes she's not beautiful. So what she's gonna do is she's going to avoid people. And vice versa for a boy who believes he doesn't match up to the girl, he gonna fear that being rejected. And we call them avoidant personality disorder. You probably know someone who has that personality disorder. The other one is sort of like almost the same but different, is dependent personality disorder. So avoidant, they avoid because they fear rejection. Dependent, this is a person who depends too much on others. They cannot make their own decisions at all. And they feel that there is a need for them to be taken care of. So they are going to let other people treat them badly because they are afraid of losing the relationship. I'm not saying it's a culture thing, but when a woman gets married from the part of the place we come from, they always been taught that a husband is the breadwinner, and so they become dependent on that person because they need to be taken care of. That's a sort of like a dependent personality disorder. I'm not saying that's who they are, but it's just trying to give you an overview how it looks like. You want to depend on other people. You cannot make your own decision, no matter what. You have to decide on them on what to wear, what to eat, how to go about your business. Yeah, and they get mistreated on that. They get abused, but people take advantage of them because they are weak in a sense. or lack of better words. The last one is called obsessive compulsive personality disorder. This is different from OCD. If you have had a term called OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, these are the people who wash their hands. They have to open the door like 3 times, those sort of things, because they are being obsessed with something and then make that thought, irrational thought, and it becomes compulsive. There's a movie that was about somebody with OCD. When they go to work in the morning, they have to lock the door in a pattern way like 3-4 times. There are other people, when they drive, when they go to that like a mile, they have this thought in their head: I left the stove on, the house is going to burn, so they have to come back. Those are the OCD people. Now the OCPD, which is obsessive compulsive personality disorder, has some traits of that, but these are the people, they need control and order. Control and order. I am perfect. This is, we call them perfectionists, and they are not flexible. They cannot change, and it's very hard to deal with someone who is a perfectionist. Somebody that, like this glass of water, before they drink it, they have to look for the streaks and make sure that it's super perfect. And if it's any stain or anything, they will not drink from it. Or if you bring them food or anything, they will not eat because the spoon is not laid the way they want. So they are perfection in a way. That's what I mean, the sense of perfectionist. Is the way they eat their food, the food has to be here, the spoon has to be on this side, and they cannot change, they're not flexible. And you can imagine you having a spouse or a child or someone who is your friend, who is that like that, how difficult it can be in a relationship. So, and when we bring all these issues about the personality disorders, we thought it was important in terms of identify or bring those discussions to the limelight to see, okay, maybe I'm having relationship issue with my children or my spouse because of myself. I think I can identify myself with this personality issue. And the question is, can you change? Because there is help. When I say help, I'm not talking about medication. Help will probably come from therapy and other places. But I will let Pastor Salome to go ahead and conclude and continue. Because in the beginning, this is a series of mental health. This is our week for mental health discussion in our church. So I'll give it to Pastor Salome.
Thank you so much, George. So I'll sum it up by saying, what are some of the ways we support a family member dealing with an individual or loved one who has personality disorders? Number one, always remind them of their positive traits. Just don't dwell on the negative. One of the ways that you're able to correct somebody is you have to first talk the positive traits that you have seen before you talk about the negative traits. The other thing that we said earlier is we have to set clear boundaries, especially with people who have borderline personality disorders. The other thing is that you have to learn their triggers, especially people with paranoid personality disorder. These are the people who are easily mistrust other individuals. So that issue or the incident that brought the mistrust, we have to learn what their triggers are or what you did for this individual to behave that way or to lose trust. Always be patient with them. Don't judge them. Be calm and consistent. Plan ahead and always provide distractions. So I want you to stay tuned for day 2 of our mental health week. Here we will be addressing mood disorders. That includes depression, bipolar, and anxiety. I thank you, and I hope you are going to be enlightened.
Thank you all. See you tomorrow.